Hey everybody, welcome back to the Intellectual Podcast. I'm your host, David S. Dawson, and this is episode number 195 with Michael Mussman and Taberah Joy Holloway. Before we get into the episode, I'd just like to congratulate all of the San Diego 48-Hour Film Project teams for completing their films this year. As always, it's an incredible thing to finish a movie. It's an incredible thing to finish a movie in just 2 days. So my hat's off to everybody for putting in the time and effort to do such a monumental feat. This Saturday is, of course, the best of screenings, and I'm proud to announce that Intellectual Entertainment's Convolution, directed by my sister Teresa Dawson Davis, and starring Steve Froelich, Whitney Wegman, Jeff Zook, Kayla Bolster, Larry Poole, and Mark Allen, as well as a brilliant cameo by the one and only Merrick McCarthy, has been selected to be part of the best of. And I'm just extremely pleased to know that we're going to be representing our entire film team at the best of for the second year in a row. Last year being the first time that we made it in the best of with our film Discontinuance, directed by Diego Robles and Leon Bahar. So congratulations to my film team for doing a wonderful job once again. And we look forward to seeing all of you at the best of screening. If you haven't gotten a ticket yet, be sure to go to sandiego48hfp.com and get your tickets, because why haven't you done that? It's a fun night. It's a fun night out. So come join us. This episode of the podcast is the last in our series of Fringe Festival highlights. This is with Michael Mussman and Taberah Joy Holloway of the musical Insecurity. And we talk a bit about their production and how they came together to create it, and the challenges of putting it together and doing a musical during the Fringe Festival. You can, of course, get tickets to their play and many, many others at sdfringe.org/tickets. So make sure that you go support all of these amazing artists who are putting together their shows for the San Diego International Fringe Festival. And we'll get into this interview with Michael Mussman and Taberah Joy Holloway on the 195th episode of the Intellectual Podcast, right after these messages. Have you been trying to figure out how to get yourself out there, how to make sure that other people see you as a crew member, as a actor, as a voiceover artist? It's really hard sometimes to find a way to make sure you highlight yourself in a way that makes you stand out from the crowd and makes you easy to find when people are looking for people to do their projects with. Well, our buddy Carl Backus, one of San Diego's best actors, and I think also one of San Diego's top producers, though many people don't realize, I think, that Carl is a very active producer. He does a lot of corporate videos, and he does a lot of creative videos as well. And he's out there casting, he's out there crewing up, and he knows how difficult it is to find good people in San Diego. We don't have the best tools for that, or at least we haven't until now. Carl took it upon himself to create an absolutely free tool that's all about San Diego creative professionals. It's super easy to use. It's called youwhosd.com. And it gives you the opportunity to post your resume. You can post 12 photographs and 3 videos or SoundCloud links if you're a voiceover artist. It's super simple to use. If you're a crew member, if you're an actor, doesn't matter. You get your listing. It's free to put it up there. You can share that link out with people. And if, say, I'm going to cast something and I'm going to crew something and I'm looking for people in town with specific skill sets and specific looks, youwhosd.com is going to be one of my first stops from here all out. It looks really good. It's super simple to use. So make sure you go and sign up today. Again, it's a totally free service. Thanks to Carl Backus, youwhosd.com. Go sign up. put yourself online. Let San Diego know that your talents are available for projects of any kind. You know the old saying, you never get a second chance to make a first impression? That phrase is incredibly true in our business. In entertainment, your first impression can mean everything. It can mean the difference of booking a job or not booking a job, having an audition or not having an audition. That first impression can get you in the door and make things happen. And for an actor, that first impression is the headshot. First and foremost, casting directors, producers, they're going to see your headshot and they're going to make decisions about whether or not you get seen based on that one image. So it's incredibly important to make that image an investment in your future. And to do that, you want to find the right photographer, someone who's going to work with you to craft the perfect image, the perfect first impression. And I suggest you check out portraitsbypeggy.com. Peggy's been doing photography since the 80s, and she really knows her stuff. And she wants to work with you to craft the perfect captured image, the one that captures the uniqueness of you and helps you book the job. She wants to work with you. She wants to really get into who you are, what sort of jobs you're trying to book, and help you get the perfect image. So check out portraitsbypeggy.com and book your portfolio session today.
Talk hard and enjoy the mindgasm. The intellectual podcast starts now.
All right, we're all good with levels?
Yeah. Although if Lydia wants to speak, she needs to lean into your mic when she does.
There we go.
So,
right.
Take it away.
So we are here with Michael Vegas Mussman and Taberah Joy Holloway. And they're going to tell us a little bit about what they're doing in this world and what they're doing with Fringe this summer.
Yeah, we're doing a musical. This is a collaboration between my composer, his name is Jordan, and Jordan Lieberman. And I met him in a bar about a year ago, and he was performing he was the accompanist for a musical improv group. And over drinks, I said, hey, we should do a musical together. And so a couple drinks and several jam sessions later, we put together a script and about a half a dozen songs, and we came up with Insecurity, which is going to be premiering at the San Diego International Fringe Festival.
So can you give us a little bit about what Insecurity is about? What should people expect?
Yeah.
It's the thing that keeps me in the house all day.
But
That was good. That was a good one. I like that one.
Yeah,
Seriously, I made the podcast to overcome that.
2 words, Insecurity. I'll give you a little plot summary. It's the story of a woman named June. She's a very intelligent, highly competent security expert. She works for a corporation called Hexagon, which is a network security firm. Not only is she the only woman in her IT department, she's also the most competent. And then June discovers that her employers are up to no good, and she must decide what to do with that information. Will she risk her job? Will she blow the whistle? And what will happen?
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Nice.
So suspense. Now, when you were talking earlier about meeting your musical director, you said there was a jam session. So were you jamming as well? Do you play instruments?
No, but I sure do sing.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so he had a upright piano in his house, and I would go over there, and we would break out the drinks, and he would play. And much like an improv team, he would, play a couple notes, and I would improvise a scene with him, and at some point in the scene, we would just break out into song.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Improv musicals. That's not something you hear a lot about. It seems like you have to have a very specific skill set for improv musicals.
It's impressive. I've seen it a couple of times as an audience member, and it's great. It's really, really cool.
Well, to be quite honest, I'm very gay. So there's that skill set. I grew up on musicals. I still remember the first time I saw Fiddler on the Roof. My big sister was in San Jose Children's Musical Theater's production of Oklahoma. She was Auntie Eller?
I believe you.
Yeah. I always mispronounce. I wanted to say Auntie M, but that's Wizard of Oz, another game. Whatever. Anyways, so many aunties. I was in a bunch as a kid. I was a total stage brat. So it's really in my blood. So when I met Jordan, it was just a meeting of the minds. We were like, this is where we belong. This is natural for us. Let's do this.
That's great. So you've always, I mean, it sounds like done theater since you were itty bitty.
About 7 years old was my first show, I think. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Can you tell us how you got from 7-year-old stage presence to here in San Diego? What's your life story in a nutshell?
Oh, you want the journey? Oh, yeah.
The journey.
Well, I'll leave out all the dark years.
You don't have to if you don't want to.
That's the fertilizer, though. No, that's the fertilizer for all the creative processes.
The years in Nazi Germany, and we'll just fast forward. I've been in San Diego for about 12 years now. I moved here in 2004. Thought I was going to become a world famous novelist. I'm basically a failed novelist, and like most wannabe writers, I discovered that the stage is really where I belong. Mostly because of the collaboration. You know, if you're trying to write a book, you're stuck in your room by yourself, and you've got all these ideas in your head, and nobody's really getting to see your work. But when I get to be on stage working with very talented actors, with a director like Taberah, my ideas come to life right away. So it's a very quick return on investment.
That's awesome. Well, you said you've been here 12 years. Where were you living before that?
I'm originally from San Jose, California.
Ah, all right.
And then after college, I made a brief little tour of Europe and ended up here.
So hence the Nazi Germany bit. How did you and Taberah get associated with each other?
We met because he had another director who pulled out of the project.
Who will remain unnamed.
Anonymous. And Thelma DeCastro, you reached out to Thelma DeCastro to see if she knew any musical directors who were women.
Yep.
And I've really never actually directed a musical, but I had been asked to direct a musical by someone else. And so Thelma knew that. And so she named me.
Yeah, there was like a nationwide search between me and Jordan and all of our networks. We went really crazy. We interviewed at least a half a dozen directors, and it finally got to the point where I just looked at him and I said, it doesn't make sense for us to do this story about this character and not have a woman direct it. Because yes, we're two, woke dudes and we're very liberal and everything, but at the end of the day, you got to have a woman's perspective for this kind of a story. So it just wasn't going to work to have another guy on the team directing the show. We had to have a woman's point of view.
Well, you said nationwide search, and you lucked out. And Taberah, you're local San Diego, right?
I am local. I think it was facetious, the nationwide search.
I was exaggerating. Yes,
I would believe you. That was.
I appreciate that. But I think it was pretty local. Yes, I'm been here in San Diego and involved in the local theater scene for about 2 years now.
So just a little quick addition. Taberah and I actually know each other because she directed me last year in The Odd Couple female version.
Which was super fun because you are very funny. You're the funniest lady.
I guess we should mention our guest interviewer, Lydia Real. I don't know if we did that.
Oh, hi.
I'm back.
She never left.
So, Taberah, you said you've been in the theater scene here for 2 years. Did you migrate from elsewhere? Or what?
I came from Atlanta. Atlanta, yes.
No way. I lived in Atlanta for 2 years.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
What part?
So South part, Fairburn area.
Oh, okay, yeah.
What about you?
I feel like I'm completely unneeded for this episode.
Do you want to ask a question?
No. I'm just going to sit back and watch. Here, Lydia.
One of my friends was in a band in college that was called the Fairburn Royals because they were from Fairburn. So that's my only Fairburn connection.
So you grew up down in Atlanta?
I grew up in Georgia. I grew up in Northwest Georgia, and I went to school at the University of Georgia, which is an hour northeast of Atlanta.
Is that In Athens?
It is in Athens.
Okay,
yes.
yeah, I've been there a couple times.
The home of many musicians, REM, B-52s, Drive-By Truckers, et cetera, et cetera. Elephant Six Collective, if anybody remembers them.
It's the Bulldogs, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a double dog. I graduated undergraduate and graduate degree from University of Georgia, so we're called Double Dogs.
Oh, well, that's awesome. And what was your degree in?
My graduate degree is in law.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
Now.
Don't mess with her.
I can't do anything too serious except like buy or sell your company, you know.
Nothing too serious.
That's great.
So, David, are you sure you're just so quiet over there?
Seriously, he gave me his mic. It's great.
Yeah.
This is cool.
I'm monitoring levels. I'm good.
You don't have any questions?
If I have a question,
Do you have any theater experience? Have you worked in the? I mean, you have a show coming up. Are you a writer, director, actor?
Yeah. Well, so yeah, both of us. I did my master's at University of Virginia in acting, and then did acting.
Charlottesville is very nice.
Charlottesville is lovely. It's a very nice little quaint town. Yeah. So all sorts of stuff. But the show, of course, is...
She doesn't like to get into herself on the show for some damn reason. I don't understand.
I think it's more interesting when it's a conversation.
Yeah, but she's got 2 bachelors, right?
Yeah.
Technical theater and acting, and then she's got her master's in acting.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And University of Virginia has nothing to sniff at.
Don't let her downplay it.
You know what our show is all about. It's like women not downplaying their accomplishments.
Yes,
so we
thank
need
you.
to bolster
When you are
the
asked
confidence.
directly by a guest, you are welcome to talk about yourself.
Okay, all right. My point being, though, before I was his co-host, he interviewed me. And I got to hash out all this. So now I like to put the spotlight on other people who are not me.
Problem with women. It's like, let me showcase everybody else's talents. And it's like, that's wonderful, but we have our own talents. And maybe I was doing that to you. And putting that off on you.
Yeah.
I'm very talented. What can I say? I'm like, pass the ball. And it's like, I'm passing it back, sister.
Lean in, Whitney. Lean in.
Yeah.
This is how rehearsals were for Odd Couple. It was fantastic.
No doubt.
It was great.
Well, okay, so you have this degree in law.
Correct.
What inspired you to be a director?
Well, I think it's not that far removed, meaning like I've always loved words. I'm a word lover above everything else, and I'm a story lover. And law is like words too. I mean, that's what it was when I was growing up. It was either be a doctor or a lawyer. That's kind of what the middle class version of America was at the time that I grew up. And I didn't really like blood very much. So I did like words, and I decided to be a lawyer. But I've always just loved reading, and I've loved stories, and I love storytelling. And I think it's one of the most powerful vehicles we have for social change. And the law can also be a vehicle for social change when used in the right ways. And I think we've seen that in the last 5 years or so in various movements, that it can really, both of those mediums can really change the way people look at society, look at each other, and look at themselves.
So what was your initial feeling upon reading this script? I mean, obviously you chose to get involved. Did it sort of hit those criteria that you were just...
Well, it is set in corporate America, and I do have experience in corporate America. And so I really appreciated that about the script, and about how, especially as a young woman entering corporate America, and there already being these norms and this culture, and you entering it, and you think that that's normal, or that's their normal. And then you think it's really, I'll speak for myself. I thought it was completely weird, like super weird. And I thought it was just me. Do you know what I mean? Like you walk into somewhere, like everybody else is like acting like this is the way it's supposed to be. And you're just like, oh, people are mean and making each other cry. And like, is that how we behave as adults at work? But America is apparently much better than France. Apparently France, they make people cry all the time at work. Anyway, whole different story. I know lawyers all over the globe, and ones that have worked. You know, I used to work in DC, so I know a lot of New York lawyers, and a lot of them would have international offices. And so there are definitely different cultural norms in the workplace.
Do they actually make people cry in France more, or is it just that the French is as much more emotional?
I probably
more vulnerable.
I think that probably the French are not as accustomed to the ways in which Americans work. So when Americans
You mean being
impose,
rude?
what's that?
You mean just being rude?
Just being very direct, being very direct and being very unreasonable and not looking at another person as a human, but more as a delivery vehicle. Like I have this thing to accomplish it. And if you don't accomplish it, then I don't fucking care who you are. Oops.
No, that's fine. Swear all you want.
I mean, so the only association, I guess, from the acting standpoint I have with this is clown work in Gaulier. And so Gaulier was a French teacher, and he made clowns cry. He makes clowns
serious.
cry.
He was a serious guy.
He's still a teacher, and people have
Isn't that counterproductive?
Making people cry, yes.
Making a clown cry?
Making everyone
apparently
cry.
not. Apparently, you should break the clown, and then they'll be funny
I prefer
after
to
you've
watch
broken
a clown
them.
cry.
What? As the clown?
I mean, if you have to watch a clown, it might as well be a sad clown.
Do you like the Cirque du
Wow.
Soleil clowns? I like the Cirque du Soleil
Michael likes to
clowns.
make that.
Only the naked ones. the Ukrainian one that does the high dive. I like him.
You like him?
Yeah.
I like the Cirque du Soleil clowns.
I do too. They're usually pretty athletic clowns in general.
Yes.
And they're good. They're better at, I mean, they tie the story together because the one issue I have with Cirque du Soleil is they're not great at narrative.
No.
That's not their strong suit. That's not what they try to be. But I'm such a narrative person that
Like
I want
French people in general.
Like
They
I want
suck at
a narrative. I want a narrative.
It's the Bash on the French show.
Have you tried watching a French
we
movie?
love
It's like, where's the
French.
plot?
We love French people and France, and we want all the French people to come to our show, Insecurity, and we will give you free croissants.
Yes, there will be bagels and croissants.
American croissants? Those aren't croissants.
We'll put butter on top. We'll make it.
So, Michael, for you, what was your impetus in writing and creating this sort of project?
Yeah. Besides the fact that Jordan and I had this friendship and we both loved musicals, a lot of it came from my personal experience having worked in corporate America. I worked for a big corporation that I won't name for 7 years. And I definitely observed this interesting dynamic where it was very male-dominated, where there were women who were totally talented and capable and competent. And some of them would get promoted, but there was still this kind of weird in-group, out-group, and it seemed like a lot of the women were on the outside of the circle and a lot of the men were on the inside of the circle. And the way that they interacted with each other, it was just very uncomfortable sometimes to watch that, especially given that so many of these very talented young ladies, had so much to contribute. But they were being ignored. They weren't being listened to. Sometimes they got mansplained to, before that was a word. I definitely saw a lot of that happening in meetings. So I pulled from my memories of those terrible meetings that I sat through, and I made scenes out of those. So you'll see some of those in the show. And I tried to make them as funny as possible. Can I just say, though, that when Taberah read the script, I've worked with a lot of different directors. I think Taberah got the gist of this story at a very deep level so quickly. It was like instant connection, like she had written it herself. She just totally knew what the story was about and what it needed. She didn't have a whole lot of questions. She kind of gave me a little quick rundown of like little mini questions that I was able to answer real quick. And I've watched her in rehearsals. She just brings out these emotional depths from the actors because she so gets what this story is all about and how the women in this company interact with the men. It's amazing to watch her at work.
I think that's probably an interesting dynamic, having a director who has come up through, business and understands that on a very high level, as opposed to like, not to diss on art students, but an art student whose only experience with it is like at a fast food restaurant or whatever.
You're totally right.
So
because,
it's very cool to have this dynamic in your director.
With a lot of acting productions, you've got, young people who look great and they're great dancers and everything, but they may not have spent a lot of time in the corporate world when they're 21, 22, 23 years old. Mm-hmm. So we kind of have this opportunity to school them on like, okay, this is what the real world is like. Now you get to act it,
Oh, yes. It makes me sad for them, though. It makes me sad for them. I don't want to necessarily school them on it. I want to transform it, but I don't know what ways in which it can be transformed, really.
Until it's transformed, you're just the soul crusher.
She does a very good job.
Got your degree?
It in a
Welcome
way
to the rest of your life.
Without having actually experienced it themselves, they're still able to get it, and she's very good at that.
I appreciate that. Heart. Michael is very easy to work with too. Michael and Jordan both. This is the first original work that I've directed, and I really love that because I feel very much more involved in the creative process, and like we're all shaping it together and making something new and beautiful and fun. And so I really enjoy that. So props to you also, Michael, and to Jordan, because you guys are great.
So what has been your process? You said that it's been very collaborative. What kind of things have you...
Well, I mean, you just get in the room and you just see it on its feet, and then you see what makes sense and you see what doesn't make sense. And you're just like, that doesn't really fit there, because there was a line that was like something about a scheme. And I was like, well, she didn't really plan this beforehand. So I don't think there really was a scheme.
So we rewrote it to Steam like a game. So she's playing a game online. It's because it rhymes, but it's for every word that you hear sung in the show, there's probably a dozen words that have fallen on the cutting room floor. Either something that I wrote and it just didn't match up with the notes that Jordan put on paper, or when we gave it to the actors to sing, it just didn't come out right. Words that I thought made sense logically don't sound very nice when sung. So there were a lot of revisions that happened like that. And then Taberah will come up every once in a while and just be like, hey, can we chop this line, or can we, revise that because it would be better this way? And we're all very open to that.
Have you found that your word choice has changed to fit more to the actor's sort of word choice and pacing? You know how, like, I don't know if it works that way with a musical, but we've had writers talk about how they'll change a character's cadence vocally to fit an actor's cadence. Does that come up for a musical?
Sometimes, yeah. The thing is, I originally wrote it before we had auditions, before we cast it. So I was kind of writing it in the dark. I didn't know who was going to sing this. So I had to be very generic and neutral about it. Now that we actually have actors and actresses who
are amazing humans,
amazing, and they
blow our minds every day. We're like, oh my god, we get to work with these people. This is so cool.
Romo, you probably know her.
Renelle Morris.
She goes by Romo. She has her own YouTube channel. All she does is all day long. It's great. I love it. She puts up videos of her singing Broadway tunes and Disney songs.
Hysterical.
And they're funny. And she belts it. And she's got this powerful, powerful alto voice that's just like incredible. And you put her together with the whole ensemble singing in chorus, it sounds so much better than it sounded in my head when I wrote it.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I've not gotten to hear her sing, so we'll have to go check out this show.
Go on YouTube.
Okay.
She's got like a million videos up.
It's hysterical.
Yeah.
She goes the whole gamut. She dresses up in crazy costumes and
on-scene locations in various ways.
She does Drunk Disney.
With Ed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Drunk Disney.
Mm-hmm. She'll get drunk with a guest. And they will take like miniature figures and act out Disney stories.
I told you, Whitney, I don't know why we've stopped doing it, but there used to be loads of alcohol flowing on this show.
I believe Susan Davis has insisted that the next interview have alcohol involved. So,
can I come back?
As in Congresswoman Susan Davis?
As in
local film director.
Okay.
Oh.
I thought
You got me all excited.
I thought the same
She
thing.
got my vote.
I was like, we should just stay here until she comes. And then we could have really deep conversations about changing society. We could be like, this is how we're going to change society.
how to get Michael to vote for you.
Yeah.
Bring booze.
Gin helps.
We're going to fund arts.
I'm glad you like gin. Gin is it's a rarity to find a gin drinker. I like gin as well. Just had to say that.
Yeah.
David's laughing at me now.
I like gin.
Oh, it's all good.
Just made me happy. That's all.
I'm going to make
Gin
a
makes
meme of
people
Whitney
happy.
now. Gin makes me happy. I think I got the perfect photo in mind for it, too.
Oh, sweet Jesus. All right. I'm afraid now.
Sometimes this is the way the show goes. It just devolves into
it's the way it
laughter
goes in
and
rehearsal
giggles.
too. Sometimes there was a line, there's a kind of a serious line. Well, it's supposed to be a joke about the Holocaust a little bit, but it's not a Holocaust joke or a denying joke or anything like that. But our actors were laughing at the Holocaust line, and I was like, guys, you cannot laugh at the Holocaust line, okay? Like, if you laugh at any other line, it's cool, but do not make each other laugh on the Holocaust line. So we had to do like 12 runs of them not laughing at the Holocaust line. We did.
I feel like it's necessary for me to explain why I mentioned the Holocaust in a joke, but if I have to explain it, then it won't be funny. So I'm just gonna
hollow-splaining.
I'm just gonna lay it out there, and
Just
you
gonna
guys
let it
judge
go.
for yourself. If it's offensive,
People will come see it just to
Hey.
figure out.
He's
Some of the
Jewish,
best,
that makes a difference.
some of
there
the
are
best
worse
laughs
things in
though
the
come
world
from
than
being offensive.
making a joke that involves the word Holocaust.
Where are you guys performing?
Okay, so this is my favorite question.
Details.
Yes, are you familiar with a mall downtown called Horton Plaza?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody's favorite mall. I love it because it's like a labyrinth. You can't get out. Okay.
It's the truth. They have those weird, like,
Oh my!
Half
It's like an
levels.
MC Escher thing, and you don't
Yes.
know if you're a lizard or a salamander, and you're going all kinds of circles.
And then
It's-
the next thing you know, you're like in Tijuana. Like,
I know. I'm like, did I park in avocado or did I park in chili pepper?
Oh, I know. It's tomato.
Anyways, okay. So that's step one. No Horton Plaza. Step two, not the Lyceum. Everybody, when they think of Horton Plaza, they think, oh, great, you go downstairs into the Lyceum. No, we're not there.
But you buy tickets there.
Or online.
Taberah, you can buy them online.
You can buy them online.
There's going to be a
Fringe.org
box
/tickets.
office, which is the Fringe box office. Which
But
is
the closest box office would be the Lyceum. Yeah.
okay. I'll go with
He's
that.
desperately trying not to send people down to
to
the
get people
Lyceum.
away from Lyceum.
But there will be people at the Lyceum that can direct them to the. I will let him
I'm
complete
going to
his
hire an
thought.
army
I
of
will let him
ushers.
Are you in the
complete his
pop-up
thought.
space?
Guide people to our space. It's at the San Diego Art Institute project space. All you do is you go up one flight of stairs and or escalators, make a left. Victoria's Secret, we're right next door.
Right next to the Victoria's Secret.
How
All right.
appropriate.
Yep. Yeah. In some ways.
And what I love is that this space, it looks like a crappy office. It's got a receptionist desk. It's got
It looks
old
like a beautiful
paint.
office for the people who.
Yes,
work
it looks
and
like
operate
a beautiful office. We're going to
the
make it
SDAI.
look like a silly corporate boardroom meeting.
Toe tread.
We're going to have, bagels and coffee for people. We're going to have a receptionist. We're going to treat it like it's an actual corporate meeting.
I love theater where they feed you.
Do you prefer cinnamon raisin? Everything? What's your favorite bagel?
Everything.
Everything.
Everything,
I like
everything,
savory.
everything, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to work at a bagel shop. One of the best jobs I ever had. Loved it.
Oh, I just like food.
I have to say, the cinnamon ones and the jalapeno ones are really good. If they could combine that so you
Cinnamon
get both.
jalapeno?
Yeah.
Sweet and spicy.
Yeah.
I'm on it.
He's going to make it happen. It's going to be awesome. Cinnamon jalapeno bagel.
Cinnamon jalapeno bagels and a glass of gin. Whitney's good to go.
Oh, that just sounds not even acceptable.
I'll try.
I'm just imagining all the flavors all at once. And it's just not okay at all.
It's like juniper berry. It's kind of like jam, bagels and jam.
Bagels and
that's it.
juniper.
Juniper berry. Juniper berry, is that what gin's made out of? Or
Yep.
no? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of gives you that taste of pine sol.
Yeah. It's just that's what I read. It's not because I like to drink.
No, well, yeah, I always wondered what that process was from the juniper berry to the alcohol.
Process of distillation.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's
which
some-
is just like steam. Is it a steam distillation process?
Oh boy, you're asking the wrong guy.
So there's some lovely distilleries around here that would probably be better at educating you than any of the alcoholics here.
Probably. Yeah.
I'm just curious.
I just eat
Man.
the sausage. I don't need to know how the
That is
sausage is made.
I'm killing David tonight.
Yeah.
Not even trying.
How did you guys go about finding your cast?
People we knew.
Yeah.
People we knew and their roommates.
A lot
Thank
of
you,
the
Marilyn.
people- yeah, thank you, Marilyn. Gosh, she's good. A lot of the people are. San Diego is such a small community and so tight knit that we end up cannibalizing and recycling people from one production to another. So a lot of them are people that Taberah worked with before. What was the name of the show?
On the Odd Couple, yeah.
Yeah.
Like Lydia. I worked with Lydia and she's going to help us out with props, and Ed worked there and he's going to do our choreography, and Roma was in the show and she's our lead,
So-
and Christine was in the show and she's going to be our stage manager. So
Mm-hmm.
I've pretty much conscripted everyone, but
much.
I could.
And I knew Roma from last year's Fringe Festival. I wrote a short play called Backstage Drama, and she was the star of that. So.
Which was very good. It was a very good
wrote
show.
that?
You saw it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
It was a good show, wasn't
God,
it?
thank you. I didn't know you saw it.
It was super clever. I really liked it a lot.
Great, thank
And
you.
I appreciated I appreciated the improv part of it.
Yeah.
I thought that was really, really cool and clever because it changed every night.
Every show was different because 3 scenes were improvised.
What was the premise of that show?
It was about an improv troupe, a trio. They were called Fruit Hole. I love that name. And it was a love triangle between Romo and another character, and she and he were competing over the new guy. I'm trying to remember what we named him. Did we name him Trevor, I think?
I think so.
Who was my buddy. John played that. That was his first time on stage. And so because they were an improv troupe, whenever they would go out on stage, they would improvise that, and then
With
they would
the
go
audience.
backstage. Yeah.
So it
just like an
flipped
improv
from
troupe.
like
Scripted to improv.
script. Yeah,
Right.
it was really
So it was an
clever.
experiment.
So it gave bones. It had gave bones, and then the improv was the flesh.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I had just started taking an improv class, and so I was really like, into.
Me too. I was taking improv classes at Side Stage, which is renamed. It's now called Old Town Improv.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of my deep improv phase. I met Eugene, the other actor, through improv. And it's great. I highly recommend it for any actors getting started out. It's a wonderful way to build their skills.
I think that improv, just in general, it's such a welcoming and warm
Oh, yeah.
and open community, which sometimes is a really cool contrast to, like
Acting and the
cutthroat,
competitiveness of acting.
Totally.
And so it was really nice to like be in that environment because it was so inclusive.
Yeah, especially
Yeah,
here
so
in San
inclusive.
Diego, it's extremely diverse, very supportive, very inclusive, like you said,
Yeah.
improv community here. Everybody knows each other. Everybody helps each other out. Everybody goes to each other's shows. There's none of that cutthroat like, I don't like them, so I'm not going to go to their show. I don't ever run into that in the improv community.
That's just because they're not at your show.
So you've been writing for a while. When did you start writing?
I like to say that my first novel was called How the Pterodactyl Lost His Wings, and I was like 7 years old, and it was like, they make you draw your own books and stuff. Oh, and then there was Pac-Man Goes to the Zoo. I was really into Pac-Man.
Did Pac-Man eat the animals that he saw at the zoo?
Okay, this was like 33 years ago. Don't give me plot details.
I was wondering what Pac-Man would do at the zoo. Like, Pac-Man pretty much just eats dots, right? So if he goes to the zoo, is he going to eat animals?
I was sitting in my parents' garage and I had a crayon and I drew a book. Yeah, so I've been writing a lot. I just it's one of the few areas in life where I feel like I'm totally free to do whatever the heck I want, and I don't have anybody telling me, no, you can't do that. And those areas of life are declining. It feels like they're getting smaller and more rare and few and far between. So that's why I write. Like I said before, though, I just find that when it comes to publishing a book, it's kind of lonely. And there's a lot of solitude involved. I much prefer being with a group of people collaborating because you get to see results right away. You get to work with really wonderful people, very talented people, and they bring your vision to life.
Well, it's just like if you're writing a novel, when you're done with your draft, you send it off to an editor and they read it on their own and then they send you notes back. But when you finish a play or a screenplay,
Instant feedback.
you sit down and have a read through with a group of people and
Right.
like you have a whole bunch of instant feedback, which is,
You all drink gin and have a great time.
And eat bagels.
you are convincing Whitney to be on every production you ever do from now on.
Yeah.
See the sell. The hard sell's coming. It's
I can see
And
it.
that's another supportive community too. I was surprised
AA?
at how many.
Yes.
I wouldn't know, but I was surprised to discover so many playwrights here in San Diego. And like we mentioned, Thelma, she runs like a
San Diego Playwrights.
Well, San Diego Playwrights, but then they also have an email newsletter that she puts out like every couple of weeks, I think, or once a month. And it's got just tons of information there on other people's projects, and people go to each other's shows. So it's great because like you don't feel alone at all as a playwright. There's so many other people out there doing cool stuff. And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thelma is fantastic, and her
so great.
organization is so supportive.
Totally.
Really great for writers.
Yeah.
We've actually gotten to interview a fair amount of playwrights in the recent days. One of the questions that I like to ask for writers, where do you start? Some people seem like they know the ending before they start. Some people really know their characters. What's your process?
I wish I had a good answer.
You hear the Jeopardy theme going through your
You
head
started
right
with
now?
sketches, didn't you? A lot of these scenes came
This
from sketches.
particular one came from sketches and improv, but it doesn't always work that way. I'm definitely not one of those people who has this vision of how it's going to end, and I just work towards that. I wish I could write that way. I would like to learn how. I just don't. My process is I sit down and I start scribbling. And, out of every dozen or so words, I might keep one. I just cross out a lot of stuff and I delete a lot of stuff. The process of transferring from a handwritten notebook to the laptop is where I delete a lot. The process is just to write.
Do you like set aside specific times of the day that you're going to write, or do you just write when it kind of hits you?
No, I have to get up and start writing first thing every day. Yeah. If I don't do it the first thing when I get up in the morning, I won't do it at all. That's my morning.
Do you, you said that you handwrite these. Do you have like a notebook of like starters where it's like, I got this far and it'll come back to me later?
I got whole books like that. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I can't imagine that, like handwriting a full play and then having to type it back out.
You get to digest it, I would imagine. Like,
it helps.
Yeah, because I don't handwrite, but I've typed things out and then lost it and been really pissed. But then I've typed it out again, and the second time I type it out, it's like more formed and it's more shaped and it's taking more form and more shape. So it's part of the process, that transference from the one to the other, because you realize where the story is at and where it's going and the characters.
Yeah, it's a big edit. And also the handwriting too. My mom was really, really, really into penmanship, and she would like drill us and make us handwrite. And I just found that my handwriting's probably not as pretty as it used to be when I was young, and she would make me write pretty. But it just helps me think. I just find that I think better when my hand is moving. And if I just go straight to the typewriter and try and come up with stuff without my hands moving in that direction, it's
doesn't work
very,
the same.
very different experience.
Lydia, do you have thoughts on this? Because
I
you
do.
teach creativity and like artist way, and
Yes.
Oh, you
do
do? I didn't know that.
I can't write by hand fast enough for how my brain works.
That's what I was saying. I think that's an advantage.
Yeah,
I think
slows
it's
you
an
down.
advantage because it slows you down, because when you're just typing everything, it's like blah, 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 blah. But when you're writing, wasn't that a pretty sound? But when you're writing, you just take your time and you mold it and you shape it and you just...
Yeah, but I start thinking about how much my wrist hurts and my fingers are hurting.
You just need to
and
exercise your
It pulls
hand.
me out of writing.
Yeah, that's the thing though, because I'm a big believer in being concise and cutting out all the extra words that you don't need, especially when you're having people talk dialogue. It's like, oh my God, just get to the point. So if my wrist starts to hurt, that is a good signal that I'm probably writing too much and I need to like pull it back a little bit or not be so wordy or stop explaining myself.
There's something very specific and energetic about having pen to paper, in the creative process. Like I said, I teach creativity workshops, and a lot of the things that I teach is based from The Artist's Way. And it's
By Julia Cameron.
Yeah, by Julia Cameron, yep. And one of the things that she recommends as a tool for creatives is what's called the morning pages, where you handwrite, write in a journal every morning. And even if it is, a page of, I'm so tired, why am I writing this? And it evolves to, now my wrist hurts and this completely sucks. You know what I mean? But like the process and the repetitive process of that actually helps to declutter
Your brain.
Totally.
which opens up space, for creative ideas and images and all that stuff to filter through. But just in general, though, I'm such a huge fan of writing, because like there's something energetic about it. I'm one of those freaks that has a paper calendar.
Yeah.
I have to have one, because something about me writing it makes it stick. So there was a study that I read a while ago about, there's a whole bunch of different hand motions.
It's tactile
and writing.
feedback.
That's what I was going to say. You're an actor.
Very different from this.
Yeah.
From they can't see.
She's
From the tapping. She's doing a
I thought
tapping,
she was playing piano. I'm
tapping
sorry.
motion.
Yeah.
But
typing on a computer.
Yeah, but especially you. I mean, you do many things. You're a very talented woman, but as an actor, you're probably particularly sensitive to the kinesthetic because
Whereas my brain thinks completely visually.
Yes,
I remember everything through images that flash back through my head.
Yeah.
And I think
In
like
images.
as fast as I can flip through the images. So like I can literally picture myself typing the things that I typed
Interesting.
like in my head as fast as I'm typing them.
No, see, I feel like I'm
and
an
register
auditory
them and
learner.
process them that way. But when I write, because the process of writing is so slow, pulling that memory back up is painful.
to do it.
It's very strange. But that's
No,
I've
it's
learned
just
that's
our
the way
brains
my
work-
brain works.
Yeah, our brains just work differently.
Once I figured that out and got rid of paper,
Yeah.
my productivity and my
Increased.
ability to create
Yeah.
like went through the roof.
When I learn lines, I have to write all of my lines out. Or else I can't memorize them.
Yeah.
I record and listen to them. I'm auditory
Yeah.
learner all the way.
I read a script twice and then I'm usually off book
What?
What?
because I'm flipping the pages. in my
Pages
brain.
because he's photographic
a
memory.
photographic
He has a
memory.
photographic memory.
Oh, that's cool.
I think that's so important for us to recognize how differently people's brains work. And I think that's like honestly, that's the frontier of diversity that I'm most interested in. Like, as far as like, are we willing to accept that people's brains work differently and they process information differently? And so they have different processes and different products because of that. And how to communicate between those people who process and product things
Yeah,
differently.
it freaks people out. It freaks me out like when I'm doing a part or something. Like, I've only read the script once, maybe twice. And I get into panic mode going on to perform. But then I step up and I go to perform and my brain just starts flipping through the pages.
That's super
I think
cool.
it'd be fascinating to see some kind of theatrical production where the entire cast was people who were differently abled or maybe on the spectrum. I'd like to see something like that.
Do
I
they
wouldn't
do that
even
at
know how to
vaudeville?
do they?
Do they do that at vaudeville? Is that part of what they do? Vaudeville theater? Are you familiar with them at all? No, they're in North Park.
Oh, I
I
don't
know
know.
they do.
Oh, you're
they
talking
work-
about the candy shop?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know they had a program.
They work with
Yes,
different
it's called the
populations.
STARS program.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes. Actually, they're a really fantastic little theater company. Jeff and Summer are the owners, and their mission the proper name is North Park Vaudeville. Yeah.
Yeah, the candy shop.
Yes,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
candy
yeah.
shop.
Yeah.
Is that they want to bring theater to anybody and everybody.
That's cool.
So they really open it. They have what's called a STARS program, I think it's called, where
That sounds right.
Yeah, where like it's classes and they put on a production with special needs. Yeah, so it's pretty amazing.
Cool.
We should
need
get
more
them
of
on
that.
here.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're fantastic.
Yeah, I got a nephew who's mildly autistic and whatnot, and I'd love to talk to people about shows
Yeah,
like that.
absolutely.
Now, I would imagine as a director, this comes into play a lot because directing people who obviously take directions in different ways. How have you found that
Ooh, now
that's
we're
an
getting
issue?
into the stuff that I like to talk about.
I haven't found that that's an issue. I don't direct kinesthetically, which I was just realizing. I do that sometimes when people aren't getting it. I will literally move in their space because I don't like to tell actors how to act.
It's like line reading.
Because
You
when
don't
I'm an
wanna do a
actor,
line
I don't
reading.
like to be told how to act. I like to give people freedom. Lydia knows I'm very non-directorial director in most situations because I trust the people that I work with and I trust that they want to be part of the creative process. If I tell them exactly how to create, I think that's really boring and really
Inorganic.
diminishing. I was going to say diminishing to that person and to the end product. So I don't usually kinesthetically direct, but there have been times where I do want something and they're not getting it. And so I'll move into their space and I'll be like, no, okay, you're going to stand here and then you're going to stand here and then you're going to stand here. But mostly I have an idea and I describe the idea to them or a sound or a situation, and I want them to get the energy of that, the energy of the sound, the energy of the situation, the energy of the emotion or whatever, and just interpret that how they can interpret that. And everybody's going to do it differently. But I hope that gives them some space to create something instead of me saying, do it exactly this way, which I find it's just condescending in some ways. And it's just like, I could do that with monkeys. There's a monkey on the mantle. I could, I mean, I don't want to treat people like that because that would be like corporate America, I think. Yeah. A little bit like that takes the artistic freedom and creative expression out of what you're doing. And then we're working with actors who are very talented, but not paid very well. So why are they there? They're there to build community and they're there to creatively express, which is why I'm there also. And I wouldn't want to take that away from them.
Way to tie it back into the theme.
David, do you find that you have a similar experience directing film? David's also a director.
Okay, so. Wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, when I started out, I gave line readings all the time. It was like, well, I wrote it. I know exactly how this is supposed to be. And I found that I got a lot of complaints from the actors that I was working with that they didn't have that freedom. They didn't like the process of working with me as an actor. And when I had an actor actually tell me that, it hurt.
But you listened.
But I listened. And I've spent the better part of the last 10 years of my career, whatever you want to call it, trying to stay more focused on why an actor's acting and then why an actor is in the part that they're in. And I tell all the actors that I work with at this point, I want them to show up with ideas, big ideas. Come in with choices. Have yourself enough time with the script to walk on my set with a bold choice for what the scene is. I want you to know what the end point is of where you're headed. And then you convince me why you're going there in the way that you choose to go there. And if it's not working, because I'm looking at the whole big picture of the film, then we can have a conversation about the choices you're making. And we can have a conversation about why those choices work or aren't working in the grand context of what we're trying to achieve. And then together through dialogue, we figure out a new motivation or a new choice that you can make. And then they make that choice and they run with it. That's how I like to work. And since I started doing that, I've been getting way better performances out of the actors. And I find myself working a lot less, which is wonderful.
They're invested in the process. They're invested in the process. They feel part of the process. And I love what you said. And me and Michael were talking about this on the way over here, because there are certain actors that bring a lot of themselves, a lot of choices. They're very bold. And then there are other actors immensely talented that you have to draw out a little bit. And do you have any ideas about how to draw people out? Because we were just discussing ways in which, because we have fantastic humans, but some of them need a little impetus or need a little motivation or need a little like, and I don't exactly know how to give that without being, like I said, condescending or whatever. But I think it depends on the personality too, how you direct a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and I think it comes down to casting too.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes you can really like a person, maybe even like things they've done. And you can close those blinds so they're not blinded.
Thank you.
Maybe even like the things that they've done, but as a director, you have to make a decision on if there's somebody you actually can work with. And I'm finding the further into this I'm going, there are people I adore, just adore. And I love watching them on stage, but they're the types of actors who come into the process where they want to come in and be the unmolded shape of clay. And they want their director to shape them into something. That's not the director that I want to be.
Okay.
I want to be the director who comes in and one artist has chiseled away at the granite and created a certain shape. And I come in with the fine sandpaper, and kind of smooth the edges and get it to the final masterpiece.
You're the curator, basically. Yeah. You're the curator. If it was a visual exhibit,
so
you would
as
be
much
the
as I
curator of
love
the
some of
exhibit.
these people, and I love the work that they do on other people's projects, they're not appropriate for mine. And I have to be honest with myself about that as much as I might like these people, them working on one of my films isn't good for them because I can't give them as a director what they want and what they need.
That is really interesting because for me and Tamara both, it's our Taberah. That's what I said. Didn't I say it with a B?
Tamara.
Did I? I thought I said it with a B.
I heard you still.
That's okay. It's just Titus Andronicus' character. She's pretty badass.
What I was trying to say was, before I mispronounced your name, for both of us, it's our first time doing a musical. And with the musical, you've got a ton of different skills beyond just acting. We also had to audition people for the quality of their voices and their ability to sell it and their ability to dance. Although, we're not really going to be having any big choreographed dance routines with trapeze artists or anything.
But
we still want
the
them
ability
to, be able
to
to
memorize motion and hitting the beats and the timing is important in a musical.
So, I'm not singling out any one particular actor, but just in general, we had to cover all those bases. So somebody might be a really great singer and be great at moving, and maybe they just need a little bit more work on their character as far as an actor or an actress. So those are things that we have to be aware of, and sometimes there's a couple gaps there that we have to fill in.
Yeah.
The good news is that the show's not even starting until the last week of June, and we've got like a whole month.
We've already blocked everything. We've worked on the music for all the scenes, except for 2 scenes. We haven't worked on the music that we're going to do Tuesday. So we're in really, really good shape.
We're ahead of the curve, and I've never been in a production where we've had like this far ahead of schedule. We're already off book or getting off book and doing run throughs. I'm like,
I think that's when you bite off a big challenge like a musical. Or in our case, last year we did 2 films in a weekend. You just naturally kind of realize, I got to step up and do better than normal. I can't kind of just coast through this one. I gotta be ahead of the game. Because if you fall behind, catching back up is nearly impossible.
Yeah. And I'm insanely grateful for our performers. Our cast has been so professional and so just
they show up on time.
Yeah, they
everything.
show up on time and they're prepared and they're super professional.
And they like each other. That helps so much.
They get along. We're going to karaoke this week or next week or whatever. We'll go sing. So it's just wonderful that everybody is making this such an easy process compared to some productions that fall apart. This has been really smooth sailing.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
So I have a round robin question for actually all 3 of you, David included. 2 questions. 1, what would be a dream project you'd love to work on? And 2, what would be a dream person that you would love to work with? Michael, you want to take it first?
I think I should go last.
Oh, okay. All right.
The 2 people that I thought of as far as a dream people to work with, they're very disparate potentially. One is Dolly Parton because I love her.
Oh my gosh, I love her.
I love her. I just love her so much to pieces. And my family is originally from East Tennessee, so I feel very much a hillbilly kinship with her. And
you been to Dollywood?
What's that? I've never been to Dollywood. Don't tell Dolly.
It's quite an experience.
I would love to go with you.
Don't tell Dolly that I haven't been.
That'd be fun.
She's just a wonderful human, and she always talks well about younger artists and especially younger female artists. And I think that's so important because I think that women, when they get older, I've seen this in certain populations, that they get less attention because a lot of the attention that society gives to women is because of their looks. And so they get less attention for that as they get older, and they get a little resentful toward younger populations that are getting attention and they're feeling a little irrelevant. And she has always just been so gracious and so supportive of all younger artists and especially female artists. And she only has good things to say about Taylor Swift, about Lady Gaga. It doesn't matter who it is. She's just very supportive and encouraging of other artists doing their work their way. And I'm very,
and she stays on top of what the younger artists are doing. It's not just her paying lip service to stuff.
Correct. She did like something with Pentatonics, and she did something with Miley Cyrus. Yeah. So she very much is like
an incredible artist.
She's just a beautiful woman. Yeah. She's just a beautiful woman.
I want her to live forever.
Well, so I think it's that awareness of younger artists that probably keep her relevant. I mean, she just came out with an album last year.
I know.
And she's continuously, while keeping the core of what she is, rejuvenating what her music is and what her message is.
Tony Bennett's been doing the same thing.
That's true. Yeah. Tony Bennett, I mean, he did an album with Lady Gaga. It was
really
really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
So I want to work with Dolly Parton. She can choose a project. I also would love to work with Alice Walker, also another Southern lady, who is just an incredible inspiration, storyteller, cultural icon. She comes from Eatonton, Georgia, which is near Athens, Georgia, where I went to school. And she comes from the same town as Joel Chandler Harris, which you guys may not know, but he wrote the Uncle Remus stories. And so there's, at the time, and it may be different now, Eatonton, Georgia, so I love you, heart you so. At the time, there were statues in the town square to Uncle Remus, to Brer Rabbit, to Brer Fox. There was zero mention of Alice Walker, Pulitzer Prize winning author, in the town of Eatonton, Georgia. So it was just shocking to me as a young college student that you could have such an impact on the culture and go back to your hometown and see that people would not even acknowledge your existence. It was like, whoa. So I would love to work with her on a more dramatic picture.
Wow.
Anyway.
Cool.
Those are my 2 votes. I don't know the projects. Those ladies can decide. They're wiser than I am.
Any project they want to do, you'd be happy with. All right, David, I think you're next. Project you'd like to do?
I think if you take a look around this room, like to say that I would love to direct a Star Wars film is like a no-brainer. And now that Disney's going gung-ho on making Star Wars movies, maybe that's a possibility.
I will be the third rock on the left in any of those Star Wars films. I would. There's lots of things that I would do to do one of those films.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yes.
I want you to write a whole backstory for Bib Fortuna, and I want to, that's my favorite character. I want to portray him.
That's incredible. Also registered in the back of my mind. And there's a lot of actors I would like to work with. There's a lot of actors that are no longer with us that I wish I could have worked with. My favorite film of all time is Casablanca. And to have been able to work with Humphrey Bogart would have been the dream. That said, of the current crop of actors that are out there, I would really love to work with Ewan McGregor.
And I'm sure he'd sign on for another Star Wars film.
I have a Star Wars film in my head for him.
Oh, okay.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah, I would love to do an Obi-Wan movie. That would be incredible. So those are dreams. Cool. But I'd take any Star Wars movie. So.
Third rock on the left. Okay.
Keep that in mind.
Just remember.
You can be more than the third rock on the left, Lydia.
Okay. I'll take that.
Can we make you a lady
Jawa
Wookiee?
number 5.
A lady Wookiee?
There's got to be lady Wookiees, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can do
Chewbacca
that.
was married. Didn't you see the holiday special?
Oh, God, don't
I
go
did
there.
not see the holiday special.
My collarbone just started twitching.
Can you do that into the microphone?
Oh, I heard it. It's like my baby sister's nightmares anytime I do Chewbacca. It just drives her. It's like nails on a chalkboard for her. So naturally, I do it everywhere we go.
I'm sure that comes from a lifetime of hearing David's Chewbacca.
She just hates Chewbacca to begin with. She has no soul. But then, yeah, just, I've been.
You said it.
I think every space movie has to have a character that doesn't talk. Isn't that kind of a rule?
Yeah, well, maybe. I don't know.
I haven't seen enough space movies.
Okay. Neither have I. So
What's your answer, Michael?
Well, I mean, my dream collaboration would be David Bowie, but I missed out on that chance last year. So I guess we'll
Ziggy.
make a show in heaven or something if either one of us qualifies to get in. But if I've been recently getting into this director who doesn't do much in the U.S. I guess he mostly just does productions in Europe. And I hope I get a chance to see him sometime. He's 75 years old or something. His name is Robert Wilson. And if you don't know his work, you can YouTube him. There's a bunch of his shows there on YouTube that are just beautiful. He has such a great, unique look and style. He's such a production designer, and I love the way he uses color and lights and silhouettes, and he would just be awesome to work with. And as far as a collaboration or a project, now that I've done a musical, I think the next step is just to write an opera. So I'm going to be looking next year to what's involved in putting together an opera libretto.
I know an opera singer who would be great too.
Okay, we'll talk. And if there's a more musicians or even a rock band or someone in that world that wants to collaborate with me, I would love to write the words.
There are a number of musicians who listen to this show, so
great.
Hopefully they'll reach out.
Cool jazz alternative bands out there that want to do a musical or an opera with me, hit me up.
Cool.
And where can they hit you up?
Well, I'm very active on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. My handle is @faircopy, all one word.
I'm @Taberah Joy. TABERAH, and Taberah like abracadabra because I'm magic.
And do we have websites where we can check out stuffs about you? What's going on in your world?
I used to have a website that I took down, so I'm in between websites.
So Facebook is the go-to for
and Twitter
Michael.
are my
Facebook
Twitter is
and
my blog.
Instagram. Yeah.
I'm in between websites right now.
I'm like right there where I'm about to get online and hire some dude in Pakistan just to make me a website.
You could hire some chick in America to do your website.
Will you do it for less than $50?
Say no.
I'd do it for $50.
Say no. Say no. This is a practice in valuing ourselves.
Oh,
You're worth more than $50.
All right,
You're
Taberah-
worth
more than
a
I'm
rock.
willing to
Taberah says I'm worth more than $50.
And I'm better than a rock.
Either that or I just take a weekend and waste a whole weekend on Wix.com trying to figure stuff out myself, which is not fun.
Weebly is a very approachable making website.
Do they require that you have to have ads on there, or do you have to pay extra to not have ads?
I think you have to pay extra,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it's not much.
It's not much
Okay.
Are there ads? I didn't even notice.
because we paid extra.
Oh, there you
But I
go.
remember it not being much.
There you go.
I know every artist needs a website. It's on my lengthy to-do list, along with promoting the show and selling tickets and
Yeah.
putting butts in seats.
We all got
Speaking
those
of which,
lists.
that's such a great segue. We should talk about cross-promoting our shows together.
Yes.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. Like, it's so easy to do, like with our programs, advertise for each other on our programs and at the curtain speech.
Yeah,
You can always
well,
say,
that's given.
Don't
We
forget
always
to
do
check
that
out
every
our
year.
friends, down
Where is
at
your
the-
show going to be?
I'm in 3.
Okay, well, where's the show you most want to go? You most want us to see?
Oh, I can't do that because everybody listens to this podcast.
You'll tell me afterwards.
all
tell
of
me
the
afterwards.
shows are
Yes.
important shows.
They are all important shows. Actually, one of the shows is going to be in the same space that you guys are in.
Okay.
That's
Please
Big
take
Kitchen?
a seat. No,
Oh, please take a seat.
Please
Yep.
take a seat.
Big Kitchen, the musical, is going to be at the Lyceum.
That's a return.
Yes,
from-
it is.
It was there last year.
2 years ago.
Okay.
Yep,
That's
cheers,
great
man.
because I have some friends who are friends of people who work at Big Kitchen who didn't get to go. So they're going to be happy. that
Oh,
they get to go this
fantastic.
year.
Yeah,
That's
we'll
great.
definitely chat.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
And then Whitney and I are, and Kristen Vogel, our project is We the People at the Joffrey. Joffrey. Raw Space.
It's spelled like the Little
Spreckles
Prince
Ross
on Game of Thrones, so I'm gonna go with Joffrey.
Joffrey. It's got the umlaut on it too, doesn't it?
I don't think it has an umlaut.
I think it's
But it's-
No,
Jeffrey.
there's no
thought it was
umlaut in
Jeffrey.
Jeffrey.
I think it's Jeffrey.
All right, we'll
But
go with
it's
Jeffrey.
Spreckles Raw.
There you go.
Yeah. So
And is We the
Home of
People a
Tonight in
musical?
San Diego.
no, it's not.
I forgive you.
Do you sing? Do you sing, Lydia?
I do.
She's
do
Filipino.
sing.
She has to sing.
I didn't know that. Well, because
It's mandatory for Filipino
would've
kids
thought-
Instead of
to
an
sing.
SAT test to get out of high school, you just have to sing.
No, it's just to get out of the womb. You have to sing on your way out.
We're not kidding. They
Your mother
disown
won't let you out unless you do. Starts pulling on the umbilical cord. Go back
Give me
till
a
you
C.
develop
Give
a
me
C.
good to know. For the future.
We've been cracking each other up about this Filipino thing all night.
Yeah, welcome to the flip side.
Yeah. You know what FLIP stands for, right? Funny little island person. That's us. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah,
Can I do one
appreciate
last
it.
plug?
Yeah, of course.
plug away.
So
Plug,
opening
plug.
night is Friday, June 23rd. It's a late one. It's at 10:30 p.m. So for that late, we're going to have a party probably right after the show. So come on down and see it, and you can get tickets on the Fringe website.
sdfringe.org/tickets.
Woo woo!
Cool.
And
Thanks.
then a party.
Yay.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Scene.
Hello there, citizens. I am the terror that flaps in the night. I am the floaty that will not flush no matter how many times you try in the toilet bowl of crime. I am Darkwing Duck, telling you please, talk hard and enjoy the mindgasm. Whatever the heck that means. After all, you are watching Intellectual Podcast with your ears.